Alright, we just got this thing running with exhaust, and it sounds great. It revs pretty quick. I was impressed with just how quick it revs up. I'm happy with it so far. Sounds good. It's a 3-inch exhaust to, there's some kind of a Summit muffler, 3-inch inlet, 3-inch outlet, and it's offset inlet, offset outlet. And I wanted to do a H pipe or some kind of a connection tube between the two, but I don't know, it's really kind of tight under the truck, so I might just leave it be for now. But got the radiator in, put some coolant in. I put the alternator right there. This is a bracket that was actually off of another car I did a few years ago and kept the bracket, but kind of puts it over in the location where back in the day, remember when everybody used to run the Corvette bracket that hung it off the side and had low clearance? So that's kind of what's in there now. And then that allows me to run a belt with no accessories, just so I can turn the water pump. I still have to wire the alternator up, so got the battery charger on it. Funny story, I was letting the truck up the other day and casually glanced under the truck and saw that the battery charger was dangling in the air, so I freaked out a minute and had to unplug that and get it unhook it from the truck safely. But luckily nothing arced out or anything, but it was kind of funny, I guess. But still got to clean this wires up, but I got to run a wire for the OBD2 to put it in the truck. I do have to run the wire to the relay for the brake, so when you push the brake it tells the ECU to unlock the converter. I haven't done that. I got these wires from Summit. They got a 45 degree end on them, and they're kind of, I think, over 9-inch length, and they were only $25 for a set of 8 wires, so I was really impressed with that. So I had to try them out, because on the few sets of these I do that have headers, typically I'll just put the angled boot on the ones that needs them. I don't know, that's just kind of how I do it, so I can have an angled one where I need them. But I mean, it cranked up and it revved pretty quick, and except for this throttle body, it's problematic with these things. They have that horrible whistle, like blowing over a Coke bottle, so it's kind of funny. But I made this bracket. I don't know if I showed it. This is actually part of the transmission shield, the heat shield on the side of a 4L60, and then this is actually the factory bend in it, and then I just laid a template out, and I found this bracket in my toolbox. I'm not sure what it's from, but fit and work. The cable's nice length. Goes right in. I used a Fox Body Mustang pedal, had to modify it. Don't know if I'm happy with it or not. And I got this cool little linkage right here to turn the thread on the tree linkage into a column shifter. So it was a kit from Summit that was about $40, and so I figured for the money to have the hardware and everything I needed to make it work, it wasn't a bad deal. So this is for the tail lights. I had to unplug it. It was in the firewall up here where that big hole is, and with the cable throttle, I don't know if it'll fit or not. I might try to fit it back in there, because it looks like now it's out of the way. But so with that alternator, it allowed me to put the air intake on this side, and I don't have the fan mounted. I just kind of zip tied it here to hold it up so I could crank it a second ago. So I put a clip up of it running with the exhaust. That exhaust took a long time, just a lot longer than I anticipated. Got the heater hoses on, got those run, and then this is actually the factory 6-cylinder hose. It fit. This is of course a truck upper hose, and this is a belt I had off the wall over there where I keep my selection of belt sizes from various vehicles over the years. But so anyway, it's a 6.0 LY6 pistons, Gen 4 rods and everything, 24X crank, new main bearings and everything, new oil pump, all that good stuff. Freshen it up on the cylinders and put 243 heads on it. It's got, I don't even remember the numbers on the cam. Oh, 8701R1 I think is what's in it. It's got the Trailblazer intake with the 30 something pound per hour injectors, and then coil packs and everything. So I think we're pretty much good to go. Again, I haven't heard from the transmission guy, but like I say, I'm getting there now. So hopefully next week maybe he'll be done with it or something, so I can get it pulled out, or get the dummy case pulled out and get the real one in. And then that's the purple converter over there, so Vigilante something or other, I don't know. I got the tank out from behind the seats, from out of the cab, and then there's the exhaust there. It's kind of I think I'm gonna have to redo the tips where it comes out, because it's they're touching the panhard bar. So you know, things you don't think about when the suspension cycles. So the shifter's hooked up. Of course, it's to the dummy case. So but what I have to do is I have to cut the other, there's two arms, and then when you push or pull this in or out, it moves that thing to engage the top arm or the bottom arm. So I'll have to tack weld it to the closest to the firewall arm, so it'll stay engaged with that. And yeah, it works. So I don't know if it's got enough juice to crank or not. I just cranked it. You can hear the throttle body. It should settle down. That revs up pretty quick. I hadn't really done anything to the tune to make it stay running. I just turned the screw on the throttle body blade to get it to open a little bit, because I was having to crack the throttle with my foot and get it to crank. But I'll have to play with it. I haven't adjusted the airflow, or it is a stock 6.0 tune. So I don't know if I talked about it yet or not, but this ECU, I thought this was another ECU that I had unlocked a while back and had given to a guy. I thought that was the same one, but it wasn't. So this one, I'd flashed one for him and turned the vats off and everything, and then he gave me two ECUs and two wiring harnesses, and I was going to use one of those wiring harnesses on here, but then I got this other harness for $100 and figured I'd try it. And so then I was like, well, I got that ECU back from him, so I went through and set it up. But then when I went to write it, it said unlicensed vehicle. So I read the file, and it was, I don't know, a 2000 or something 5.3 truck. So I had to go through there and just open the stock as found I had for a 6.0 and just changed all the parameters to make it match a 6.0. So I didn't increase the idle airflow or the idle RPM or any of that stuff. So, but the other day when I cranked it up, I didn't have that plugged off, or that one plugged off, so it stayed running. So now that all that's plugged off, I'll have to actually fix it in the tune to make it run. But so with that being said, I had a guy that actually has one of these. It's a 69, and he had a 5.7 in it and went to a 5.3, and you know, he told me that all he wanted was me to change it from the 5.7 file to the 5.3 file, so I did that. And then they had the different mass airflow sensor, so I put the values in for this one, you know, and did the normal stuff you do, right? Had a stock cam and everything. And it was given 7 or 8 codes for electrical issues, like with the TPS and the cam sensor and all kind of stuff. So some guy told that builds these, you know, expensive cars for Meckham auctions that are pushed across a stage, told him that I asked if I had done a crank relearn. I've never done a crank relearn. I don't know how many of these I've done. I don't really keep count, but I've never done a crank relearn on anything, and I've never had an issue. So I just think it's kind of funny, you know. I put this motor together. I don't even know what this wiring harness or, you know, any of this stuff is. Put it all together, flash it. It was a 5.3 file, put it to a 6.0, cranks up and runs. You know, but it's the tune, right? It's always the tune's fault. So anyway, hopefully get the transmission, get this thing going. I can't wait to drive it now. I guess it's kind of a good thing that I don't have the transmission, you know, because I'd be wanting to drive it. And because, you know, once you get to this point, so that's why I try to have them as close as I can, because I'm ready to drive them. Another topic is the wheels and tires and 5-lug, 6-lug, and all that debacle. So, my buddy already got rid of the 5-on-5 spindles. So he already got rid of those, so that's off the table unless he comes across some more. The back, I found some 5-on-5 axles and drum and bearing thing at Summit, but I think it's a little over $500. Then you got to do the front to 5-on-5, and then I got to find wheels and tires. The other option is that POL Online has that thing, that kit that changes this to 5-on the car bolt pattern, 5-on-475. But then the rear, the only thing I found is 5-on-5, so then you have 5 3/4 up front and 5-on-5 in the back. And I mean, I want the same bolt pattern all the way around. And then the 6-lug conversion they have doesn't work with the drum brake spindles, so I don't know what I'm going to do. And I was going to do the 8.8 in it, but then my buddy that put that rear end in that truck messaged me and said that the pumpkin was offset in that truck, and it was going to affect the drive shaft length. So I didn't even think about it. So I got there and measured it, and sure enough, it's a 2-inch offset towards the passenger side. So I can't use that rear end in this truck because that's going to screw up my driveline angle putting it in there. So that's off the table. So I'm going to be stuck with the 12 bolt. So I don't know what I'm going to do. I might just leave it as is with the drum, clean these wheels up and paint them, beauty rings, trim rings, whatever. I'll put matching tires on it because none of these tires match. But yeah, so I don't know what I'm going to do about that. I mean, these wheels don't look bad. My buddy, I think he's got some caps and trim rings and whatnot, or I can paint them up and then I've got some 315/75 radials I can put on the back. Those would probably look pretty cool on here. And then, you know, whatever 28-inch tire on the front. But I don't know, I guess it does sit up kind of high. Maybe get it a little lower. I don't, you know, that's one of the things I don't really get into is the real low, making them real low type thing. So I don't know. I just haven't decided what to do with that. I've got a guy that wants these wheels, but I mean, you know, again, if I could put the modern Silverado wheels on there, I'd be fine with getting rid of these wheels, but they won't fit the center bore. And I think if I went to that POL 6 lug, it has a smaller center bore, and then you can get axles for the back that have the smaller center bore and run the 6 lug, but that's a lot of work and a lot of trouble and a lot of money. So I don't know if that'll be worth it or not. But anyway, I'm happy with the progress. It's kind of been slow and grueling, but you know, we're there. Oh, I found my sticker. That's the sticker that goes on everything in the shop. We always stick that on whatever, or I always stick it on whatever I'm working on, just as a joke. It's an inside shop joke. So, but anyway, I think it turned out pretty good. I ran the wires behind there. I don't know what these wires are going to. They were just hanging out. So I'm hoping one of them's keyed so I can use it for the alternator trigger wire, and then that wire to the, I guess is the brake light switch. I don't know what it is, that brown wire. But I mean, why would they make it that long to go from the firewall to there? I mean, it doesn't make sense. But the headers still suck. They're hitting the frame. It's pain to get to any of these plugs or anything over here. Even getting that plug wire on right there was difficult. Number 6 back there. So I don't know, but they're on, they work, it's running, and we're one step closer to driving it. So I probably need to get a transmission cooler too, because I'm certainly not going to hook into this radiator. Oh, well, it was a manual transmission, so it wouldn't have cooler lines anyway. So anyway, well, that's it for now. I guess next time I'll show the exhaust and everything. I don't want to let it back up because I was just thinking the battery charger's hooked up and I don't want to do the same trick again. So, but anyway, that's the update on this thing.